All right. What's up, family? Okay. I had to do a last minute thing. So what I did was I found my Black Excellence today, and her name is Mary Kenner. Here she is right here, Mary Kenner. Very beautiful.
Mary Beatrice Davidson Kenner was an African-American inventor.
I want y'all to listen.
Born on May 17, 1912 in Monroe, North Carolina, near Charlotte.
North Carolina.
She came
She's
from a line
born.
of inventors. Her grandfather invented a tricolored light signal for trains as a way to communicate multiple messages to guide trains. Her father, Sidney Nathaniel Davidson, invented and patented a clothing presser that could be stored in suitcases and would press one's clothes while traveling. Her sister, Mildred Davidson Austin Smith, invented and commercially sold board games. She spent her childhood brainstorming new improvements and inventions, drawing up models, and assembling prototypes. For example, she created a sponge tip that could be attached to the end of a wet umbrella to stop rainwater from dripping on the floor. She recognized that most passengers seated in the folded rumble seats of cars usually became victim to poor weather. So
She had multiple patents. Wow, that's what's. I mean, she had I think she had more than 10 of them, and she was known for coming up with patents of ideas back in her time. And the reason why it took so long for her stuff to be patented, for her to receive her patents, because they once she submitted them, they realized that she was a black woman. Back in those days, they were very, very, hateful toward us. And that's why for all that time that she did not have her patents for these ideas once they found out that she was a black woman. But eventually it happened.
a convertible roof that would extend over the back of the car to protect each passenger equally. She also created a portable ashtray that could be secured onto a cigarette packet. She graduated from high school in 1931 and attended Howard University.
Wow.
Unfortunately, she was unable to finish because she could not pay tuition due to financial hardship.
Right?
She took on
That was
whatever
most of
job she
us.
could find, eventually settling into a full-time position as a federal employee, which allowed her to support her designing in her free time. Mary Kenner is best known for her invention of the sanitary belt. A sanitary belt was an elastic belt used to hold sanitary napkins in place. The belt was secured by safety pins or clips. During this time, disposable pads were not yet available, and women were still using cloth pads and rags during their menstrual cycles. They had to continuously wash and reuse the rags, which also presented little protection for clothes from leaks and staining.
Dang.
Tampons were available for women, but they were discouraged from using them because they were seen as indecent at that time. Unfortunately, the sanitary belt was not used until 30 years after her invention because the company that first showed interest in her creation
Listen to this.
rejected it after they learned that she was an African American woman.
That's how bad
Sadly,
racism was,
more rejections
or
came
is still.
due to heavy racism. Ultimately, Kenner was able to save enough money to file a patent and was awarded the patent for her invention of the sanitary belt on May 15, 1956.
Finally.
She continued to improve the belt by adding a built-in moisture-proof napkin pocket that helped with leak protection and to avoid staining clothes. She was granted a patent for this invention on April 14, 1959. Mary Kenner received several
Brilliant, bro.
patents for her
You hear me?
household and personal item creations. In 1959, she patented the carrier attachment for a walker after her sister
It
Mildred
ran in the
developed
family.
multiple sclerosis. This consisted of a tray
Sister.
and soft pocket that could attach to the frame, allowing Mildred to carry items around with her. On October 19, 1982, Kenner and Mildred shared the patent on the toilet tissue holder.
Okay.
Also, on September 29, 1987, Mary held a patent on a back washer and massager that could be mounted on the shower or bathtub wall. In
Wow.
total, Mary filed 5 patents, which was and still is more than any other African American woman in history.
Okay, so I
None of her
said
inventions were
10,
lucrative, but she continued to
but it
do
was
what
5
she loved
patents.
and helped change the lives of women all over the world. This creative, hardworking woman was also a well-known professional florist running her own business in Washington, D.C.
Beautiful, man.
Mary Kenner passed
She was
away
born
on
in North
January 13th, 2006.
Oh, 2006 she
We
passed
hope you
away.
enjoyed this
Okay.
video. If so, please give us a thumbs up and let us.
That was beautiful. I figure I'll do it different this time because, I read slow. So you guys probably, this person is a professional, whoever actually did this particular one for Miss Mary Kenner. All right. So as applause to Mary Kenner. That's our Black excellence of the day. I think I'm gonna start doing that more often because I kind of like that. I get to sit back and actually learn about some things that I can sit back like I'm in a classroom and take it in as well. That was pretty cool. So we all shared that at the same time. So I think what I want to talk about today, because I found out today that the reason, all right, so I guess let me just start with my topic, right? What did I write for my topic today? The topic is, why is Russia attacking Ukraine? Does anybody really know why? Well, and it's probably not going to be said too much, but it's pretty obvious that back in the day, the older, back in years ago, that Russia was a part of Ukraine, or Ukraine was a part of Russia, and also Alaska. Believe it or not, Alaska was also a part of Russia. So apparently what's happening is that Putin wants to regain all of the land that was either sold or was taken over back years ago, well over 30 years ago. So actually, Russia has, back in 1867, they let me see, the purchase, I'm gonna read this to you. The purchase of Alaska in 1867 marked the end of the Russian effort to expand trade and settlements to the Pacific coast of North America, and became an important step in the United States' rise as a great power in the Asia Pacific region. So beginning in 1725, the Russian Tsar Peter the Great dispatched Vitrus Bering to explore the Alaskan coast. Okay, so basically, back in that time, the signing of Alaska Treaty was in 1867, and Russia offered to sell Alaska to the United States in 1859, believing that the United States would offset the design of Russia's greatest rival in the Pacific, Great Britain, the looming USA Civil War, the U.S. Civil War. All right, that delayed the sale. And after the war, the Secretary of State, William Seward, quickly took up the renewal of the Russian offer in March 30th of 1867. All right, so it was an agreed proposal from Russia, and they actually sold it for, back then, just think about the money, was $7.2 million. They sold Alaska to America. And actually, if you look at the dynamics of what's going on right now with this Ukraine war, now this is his way of getting Ukraine back and building up over in the Pacific location, all right, over by the Black Sea. And he is trying to get it back like it used to be back in the day. So a lot of people believe that once he gets a hold to Ukraine, that he's not going to stop there. He's going to try to actually regain Alaska, because now, mind you, Alaska was sold to the United States. Okay, so I'm not seeing America just like, okay, well, if you want Alaska, here you can have it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that more than likely, even if United States was to decide to sell it, they will sell it for a ridiculous amount of money that Russia's not going to be able to afford, especially now after the sanctions have hit them as hard as they have. So Putin is really trying his absolute best. Now, another thing that I found out today was that Putin has this underground cave. It's not really a cave. It's like an underground city, and I think that's where he finds his refuge, is underneath, deep, where he has tennis court. He's got all kind of homes. I think he has all kind of stuff. He claims that he doesn't own it, but he does, and that's basically has been his major go-to when it comes to bullying people, because he's really paranoid right now. Matter of fact, there have been even reports that that Putin lives in a underground protection area, and when he has to come up and do his bidding or do his meetings or whatever, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen him sitting at the table, at this long table, and at the end of the table is his people he's talking to across the table, so they're nowhere near him. So the guy's gotten very paranoid now, and he even have a food taster, because he doesn't even trust the people that he has around him. So he keeps them at bay, and he wears armor when he goes out to, like, into public and stuff. So he's very, very paranoid right now. And if you think back in the day, Hitler was extremely paranoid as well. And Hitler also had tasters, people who would taste his food. So he has chefs, he has special people that supposedly he trusts, but not really. So he has assigned a person to taste the food, the very food that he's being prepared for him would eat. All right, because he's known. That's the crazy thing, is that a thief is always going to be thinking somebody's stealing from him. A killer is always going to think somebody's trying to kill him. And somebody like Putin is a killer, and he's poisoned numerous people before, successfully and unsuccessfully. And he fears of that happening to him. So he has a food taster. Anything he has to consume, he pays somebody to consume it first. What a job to have. Think about it. They don't have a choice, I guess. He's like, if you don't do this, I'll kill you. I mean, that's what Trump really wants to be like. He wants to be like Putin. And mind you, Kim Jong-un as well. Kim Jong-un, Jung, whatever you want to call him. He wanted to be like that little short guy as well. Because, Kim Jong-un, his success to his position was to kill his uncle. Shoot his uncle square in the face and kill some of his family members to get the position that he's got now. And that is what Trump is saying that he admires. He admires people like that. Like a Putin. You see what Putin is doing right now. Putin is trying to send a message to Trump to say, if you want to actually take control of this country, this is how you have to do it. And if it wasn't for we all should be thanking God for the 80 some odd million people who voted against Trump. Because if we had not stood up and voted against Trump and his 70 some odd million people, that we would be under a dictatorship just like Russia is right now. And he was trying to open the door for Putin to come into America and do business way more than he has in the past. It was like a red carpet laid out. That's exactly what Trump was doing. And now it's pretty clear and obvious of what he was doing. Putin said, with or without you, I'm getting Ukraine. You notice how he opened the door for Putin to actually start getting Ukraine when he cut off the supplies. Now listen, I'm gonna tell you this: we ain't stupid. We can read between the lines, even though you're not telling us the whole truth. But we get enough of the information to know that Ukraine has not been a great place to be. And I said this before. It's been a very wicked place, and it's been corrupted for a very long time. Now that's some of the truth that Trump has spoke, which is for real. But when Zelensky got in that position, Zelensky was the one who was trying to clean it up. Yeah, he was an actor / comedian, and they loved him so much that when he ran for president, they voted him in for Ukraine, the Ukraine president. He came in at a bad time. Because he was making jokes about daggone Putin. And that's why Putin is so vigilant on trying to get him. Now they have that town surrounded, cut off, surrounded. And you know who's there? Our favorite boxers, the Klitschko brothers and Lomachenko. They actually had to put a uniform on and fight for Ukraine. Now, I hear some people talking about all you Negroes who are praying for Ukraine who don't like black people. All right, Ukraine is like America, jacked up. You know what I mean? And thanks for the good people here in this country, or the people who at least care enough to say, well, you know what, we can foresee the kind of things that the Republicans are trying to do, trying to flip this and hand it over to the Russians. You know, the two R's, Republican, Russian, trying to hand United States over to them. You can see it. It's like right in front of your face. Now, okay, you can say you don't have a heart for the people in Ukraine because they shown their butt. Now, those are probably the very ones who was corrupting the place in the first place, was corrupting it, and now they have to be weeded out. Now, we all have to think like this as well. Why is God allowing these things to happen? Why did we even have to go through slavery? Why did the United States have to go through a president like Trump? Why did Russia why did Russia invade Ukraine? All these things happen for a purpose, for a reason. Now, if you look at what's really unfortunate about these things that happen, why do people die? Why do good people die? And why do evil people reign? There is a purpose behind it all, and it's almost like, it's like, painfully just revealing the truth of who's really running this place, or these places, these so-called powerful places. Because they would tell you one thing and put this image on social media as it to be a beautiful place and a great set of people to work for, or be under, or be ruled by, whatever. And then it has to be revealed. And unfortunately, good people have to pass in the midst of it all. And then now it's revealed. Now the world can see exactly, all this fake bravado that's put up, all this fakeness. It ain't nothing but a game. And it's the same thing with any group of people. It has to be weeded out eventually. And this is what's going on in Ukraine. And that's what was happening. And we have more to go here in the United States, because we have so many of the other people. The Russian Republicans are trying to allow all the Russians to come in here and take over and make this a dictatorship, just like it is over in Russia. I seen a clip where people were being arrested for holding up a blank piece of paper like this in public. Blank. There was nothing on it. They didn't write anything, but the police grabbed them, locked them up. Now they're looking at 15 years in prison. A blank piece of paper, man. And anybody who was caught talking to reporters was actually being caught up and getting arrested. Now listen, in their public square, the crazy thing, I know some of y'all seen it, that people are just walking around, they're going, minding their business, just a big area, and people are just walking around. But also, there are police walking around too, as well. And there's reporters out there, and reporters are trying to get the response of some of the Russian people. This is in Russia I'm talking about, you know? And then if they spot you talking to a reporter, they would, in the far distance, be watching. And if you show any kind of any kind of motion that they think that you're trying to say anything negative about Russia, they'll arrest you and they'll charge you. And then you are looking at 5 to 15 years in jail. Now we got an NBA female star, right? A WNBA female star that had got caught with some vape cartridges that's supposed to be filled with some marijuana, something. I don't know, something to do with that, right? And they detained her at the airport. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about it by now. Now, they're saying that she is actually being charged for drugs, and it's not drugs. Now, this is one thing we all have to be careful about. We got all this freedom here in this country, and I'll be dag nabbit if black people tell me that that they are being so treated so wrong, that that the freedoms that we have in this country, okay, is amazing, because we're able to get on social media and speak our mind like I'm speaking mine right now. And the same person who's arguing would say, why are we so concerned about Ukraine, and how badly we have been treated? We know how bad we've been treated in this country, but of course the days of the literal slavery chains that we had is not the same as the somewhat slavery that we have today. It's different. In other words, it has improved to a point that we still have these freedoms to broadcast to the world about how we feel, and just imagine if the same person who was crying about why care about Ukraine, was in another country that would refuse him for saying a word, just like in Russia. You can't say a word in public about that injustice over there. So yeah, okay. You saying mind your own black business. Okay, I get it. We're caught up in the middle. But our black business is right here in this country who is at the brink of war with Russia. So that is our black business. It's always have been, just like slavery has been our black business. We didn't ask for it. We were thrown into it for a purpose. What is the greater purpose? Who really can put their finger on it and say, oh, that's exactly what it is? Nobody can tell you or me that, what the exact purpose is, but it does reveal the truth about the people who are so-called controlling this powerful nation. It tells the absolute truth about them. All right, and also tells about their patriotic or patriotism to this country. It tells you an awful lot, which is coming out to be zero to me. If you really look at some of these people and the way that they're acting and how they still, after seeing what Putin is doing, knowing that Donald Trump was kissing up under Putin's butt and trying to open the door to United States for Putin to come in, maybe not with tanks, but just walk in and just hand it over, because he admires this man. He's been admiring Putin since he was a young tyke. And now all of a sudden we see the connection on why he was doing all that. And there's more to it. There's more to it as far as Putin and Trump's connection. But mind you, he was handing this country over, and all the Democrats were saying this. We were constantly saying, because we see, we're not blinded, we're not delusional about what it is we see. We were looking at it in real time, and we were saying it to everybody. This is what Trump is doing. And there's a reason why. But the delusional Republican Russians were still just trying to flip the narrative constantly and tell you it's something else. But now we truly see what it is, because Putin couldn't wait. He couldn't wait on Trump anymore. He thought that was his real key to the United States. Even though they got a lot of plants, they got a lot of their own spies right here in this country, and they're acting just like our regular white neighbors. And you can't even tell the difference, because they have blue eyes, blonde hair, and they speak the same. But lo and behold, they are spies among us, in your company, in your neighborhood, maybe even in your family. You dig? Yeah. So, I mean, just think about the reasons why Putin was interested in Ukraine. Now, if he successfully takes it, with his mind, the way that he's thinking, the way that he's showing us, the way that he thinks right now, and he's very paranoid at this time, that he would possibly be looking at Alaska, because Alaska was sold, right? It used to be a part of Russia, and it was sold. Now, United States basically have more control in the Pacific area, all right? And that was President Andrew Johnson back in the day, all right? So that was back in May the 28th. You know, Alaska was formally transferred to the United States on October the 18th of 1867. This purchase ended Russia's presence in North America, ensured U.S. access to the Pacific Northern Rim. That's history. Now, Putin is trying to rewrite history. I think he's looking at Alaska eventually. But Trump was supposed to open the door for all of that for him. And Trump failed him. And I think if Trump was in Russia and failed him the way he did, he probably would be locked up or dead or poisoned. He's lucky to even be here, and he's still talking Putin. Trump is still talking Putin out of his behind that's in the front of his face. He's talking out of his butthole in his face. Trump is talking out of his butthole in his face. You understand? This is easy to understand. This is not rocket science. It really isn't. And black folks, yeah, it's not our war. It's not our fight. But we caught in the middle, point blank. We caught in the middle, point blank. You can sit up there and say you ain't gonna raise a finger to do anything, but if they come knocking on your door, I bet you grabbing your guns. So you caught in the middle too, point blank. Don't think the Russians gonna love you any better than they love the white man. Whose side you gonna be on? You better pick the best of the evils, I guess, and you better go ahead and stick to what you know. Stick to the lakes and the rivers you're used to. Now, if you want to call yourself a black Russian, then you're a traitor. No, we caught in the middle, so make a choice. You're either gonna fight for United States or you're not gonna fight for United States. Make your choice. You can't just sit and straddle yourself on a fence and think you're gonna stay safe. You're not. We already know how the white man treat us here, but you can imagine. Can you really imagine if Russia was to take over the United States? Where do you think black people would be? Concentration camps or dead? Just like the Jews. What's wrong with you? That's it for me. I'm done. But that's something to even think about. On that note, tell somebody you love them. I'm saying that with an attitude. Tell somebody you love them, dagnabbit. I love you guys. Treat people like you want to be treated, because I got to do this about 2 more times. So I might as well keep the same energy. All right? I'm going to check back with y'all later. Peace and one love.